I get the gavel first tonight. I'm going to go ahead and call the reorganization meeting of the St. Genevieve County R2 School District to session. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next thing in the reorganization meeting, if we would have held an election, we would have shared the results of the election in this portion. But we had 3 open seats on the board and we had 3 people filed for the position, so we did not hold an election. So in this item on board docs, we have the press release, the candidate filing, the letter we sent to the county clerk, letting them know that we didn't need to hold an election. So congratulations, Mr. Bosler, Mrs. Riesinger, and Mr. Kirschner. We're going to move on to the next item, and Mrs. Diesel, our board secretary, is going to swear you in. So if you would please stand, raise your hand, and repeat after Mrs. Diesel.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Missouri, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of school director in the St. Genevieve County R2 School District, County of St. Genevieve, State of Missouri, to the best of my ability, according to law. Congratulations.
Okay, the next item on the reorganization meeting, we typically put in this section some policies that pertain to the board members' powers, duties, their ethics, and the roles of the officer. So those items are available here. The one that we're going to review is policy BBF, school board member ethics. I believe they're in Mr. Bova's folder. So I'm going to grab that real quick. So policy BBF is entitled School Board Member Ethics. So typically what we do is we read through this policy, and then after we complete reading it, the board members sign it and give the copy back to me. And those signed copies are kept in the district office. So Mrs. Diesel, would you mind reading that?
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the St. Genevieve County R2 School District Board of Education accept the responsibility to improve public education in the St. Genevieve County R2 School District. To that end, all board members will remember that the first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of all students attending the public schools. Number 2, obey the laws of Missouri and the United States. Item 3, recognize that individual members have no authority to speak or act for the board. Item 4, work with other board members to establish effective board policies. Item 5, delegate authority for the administration of the schools to the superintendent. Item 6, encourage ongoing communications between board members and stakeholders. Item 7, render all decisions based on the available facts and independent judgment rather than succumbing to the influence of individuals or special interest groups. Item 8, make every effort to attend all board meetings. Item 9, become informed concerning the issues to be considered at each meeting. Item 10, improve boardsmanship by studying educational issues and by participating in-service programs and training. Item 11, support the employment of staff members based on qualifications and not as a result of influence. Item 12, maintain a process of regular and systematic assessment of the educational system in order to provide accountability for the school district. Item 13, avoid conflicts of interest or the appearance thereof. Item 14, refrain from using the board position for the benefit of family members, business associates, or themselves. Item 15, express personal opinions, but once the board has acted, accept the will of the majority. And finally, refrain from divulging confidential information presented during closed session, except when required by law.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, if you would please acknowledge the receipt of this information by signing that.
Just take the bottom. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's a sign on the line on the bottom. And today is the 18th.
Okay.
I'll collect those.
418. Yeah, I think we just pass them back to Dr. Lee. Marcus.
Thank you. As I said earlier, we will file these in district office and maintain that file. The next item on the agenda is the policy for board officers. Tonight we are going to elect the board president, vice president, a delegate for MSBA, and an alternate. The secretary, I believe we do in June. So we'll take care of that in June. So first, the election of the board president.
Second.
No,
So this one.
you don't need to.
All right.
Are there any other nominations? You have to do the motion to cease. Do I have a second?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of electing Mr. Bova president?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Bova.
Thank you.
I'll give you the gavel back in a minute. Next item, we need to elect a vice president. Do we have any other nominations?
I'll motion that nominations cease and we elect by acclamation Eric Bosler as Vice President of the St. Genevieve County R2 Board of Education.
Okay. All those in favor of electing Mr. Bosler vice president?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Bosler. Thank you. Next, we have the election of the MSBA delegate. Do I have a nomination? Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Can I have the motion?
I'll motion the nomination cease and we elect by acclamation Mrs. Martha Reesinger as the MSBA delegate of the St. John County R2 Board of Education.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, first and a second. All those in favor of electing Mrs. Reesinger the delegate?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mrs. Reesinger. Next, we need to elect the alternate delegate for the MSBA delegate assembly.
I'll make a motion that we nominate Eric Bosler as the alternate delegate.
Okay. Any other nominations? Can I have a motion to cease?
I'll motion that nomination cease and we elect by acclamation Eric Bosler as the MSB alternate delegate of the St. Genevieve County R2 Board of Education.
Second.
Who did that?
Whichever.
Josh?
Josh. Okay. All those in favor of electing Mr. Bosler the alternate delegate?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations again. That concludes the reorganization meeting. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Making a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that's the end of that one.
So the motion for who? I have to fill you in here, don't I?
While we transition, I'm going to give Mr. Bova the diplomas. Class of 23. He signs first.
Those in your way.
She'd be happy.
Okay, so Martha said that.
Give Jerry
There
that.
was no second.
Did you get it all?
Well, yes,
wrote her-
I have it written, but the way this format is, I need a minute to, I don't.
That's fine.
I have the written. Okay, so, but if I adjourn the meeting, if I go in and adjourn the meeting and stop it and go, can I go back in and edit that? Okay. That's what I was worried
Chrissy
about.
will fix it.
Chrissy will do electronic great things.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I can pretty soon adjourn this here. Okay, Eric. David. Okay. Okay. So that's done. On to the second meeting.
This is our first 6 o'clock meeting, so.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. 45 minutes to figure it out. I know.
Oh, shoot. Not a bit. Yeah, I think it will.
Good deal.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to this meeting, the regular meeting. We're doing some internet spinning here. Yeah, if I need to, let's see. It's not
We-
like-
We've had internet issues this afternoon. And the reason it took me so long to get you my presentation is because Google wasn't working for me yesterday. So,
Good old Google.
Google, what a week.
It says I'm connected though.
Yeah, it's connected to What doesn't even show it?
Just your Julie's phone. Julie's hotspot.
The TVs are connected. We can try it. I don't know if it'll.
Well, it says I'm connected. Do you think I'm not really connected?
I did too.
Yeah, yours did too. You really weren't.
Oh, it's not even offering it, is it?
It isn't. Are
Do you
the
have
same
yours
thing
set
like
to go to, it has to be pick up yours, go public.
Mine picked it up.
Oh, hit the
Now it's-
reorganization.
Just do-
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Don't say that.
yeah, I want this one. Yeah, but it's trying to connect.
We'll be all
Oh,
right.
I see what you're saying. That's true.
And having some
Mine's
connected
pushing that.
problems. Although it was,
We
when
can
I
use the
was in the
Okay.
reorganized meeting, I was connected.
Shall we just use the paper?
Yeah, I can just
Okay.
use the paper for now. Sure.
Okay, so 6:15, let's call the meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
Next on the agenda is the St. John R2 Board of Education norms, which are available on the board packet if you'd like to read them. And next we have approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda of April 18th, 2023 regular open session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jamie had to leave for a little bit.
Oh, yes. Better make a note.
Yes. Next, we have the MSBA monthly report for April.
Welcome to the April edition of the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report. We begin with a look back at MSBA's Advocacy Day event held on March 28th in Jefferson City. Preparations for the event took place throughout the month of March. MSBA's spring virtual meeting and a series of lunch and learn webinars on a variety of topics prepared school board members for their meetings with legislators and provided information on several legislative issues now before the Missouri General Assembly as it heads for its May adjournment. Senator Carla Esslinger spoke during the Advocacy Day event in the rotunda of the Capitol and emphasized the important role of school board members in the legislative process.
That your service and your dedication to your community and your children is what makes this work. Because without a school board that reflects the community values and the school reflecting that back to the community, this whole democracy thing doesn't work. Okay? And you have to have the opportunity at the local level to control what is good for your children.
Also during the event, the Carter D. Ward Excellence in Advocacy Award was presented to Keisha Lee of the Ladue School District Board of Education. This award is given annually to a past or present school board member who excels or has excelled in advocating for public education. Keisha stressed the importance of collaboration when dealing with the issues facing public education.
The problems facing us are multifaceted, but not impossible. While the challenges in rural, urban, and suburban areas across the state look different, on the surface, many of our problems are very much the same. We must start to work together by looking in your neighbor's backyard and across the street for resources and collaboration.
Advocacy Day also included a student showcase at the Capitol, where students from 20 school districts throughout the state were on hand to discuss and demonstrate innovative programs in their districts. Missouri's First Lady Teresa Parson visited the showcase and saw firsthand the amazing students and programs from across the state.
Our students are the next generation of leaders. So when our young people are set up to succeed, I believe that our communities and our state definitely will benefit from them. Today, we're excited to have the students, each of these students here, with us to display their showcases and to share here in Jefferson City. So after visiting these outstanding programs in our schools, you will know that our students in our state have a bright future ahead.
The deadline is approaching fast to sign up for your district's free Emergency Operations Plan Development Tool. MSBA, in partnership with the Department of Public Safety, is offering a subscription to the Missouri EOP Development Tool at no cost for 2 years, but you must be signed up by June 1st of this year. There's no time element for completing the Emergency Operations Plan. The only time element is for participation. So please sign up now and take advantage of this crucial school safety resource. Visit the MSBA website for more information. Make plans now to attend MSBA's Summer Summit June 16th and 17th in Branson. Join school board members and leaders from across Missouri to learn about emerging trends and hot topics in education. It's a great opportunity to participate in valuable sessions and to connect with colleagues from school districts throughout the state. Also, be sure your board is represented at the June Delegate Assembly to be held in conjunction with the Summer Summit. Delegates will be electing officers for the coming year at that meeting. And last but certainly not least, if you were elected to your school board for the first time this month, welcome to school board service. Missouri law requires all school board members to receive 18 and a half hours of training within their first 12 months of service. MSBA's CBM Essential Board Member Training fulfills this requirement and provides the foundation for becoming an effective school board member. The training is free for all new school board members. Check the MSBA website for a schedule of the training opportunities along with registration information. So with that, thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in May for the next MSBA board report.
All right, next we have the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, excuse me, to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public participation. My computer's moving slowly. Board members and administrators will listen to concerns at this time and respond when appropriate by mail or telephone at a later date. Per policy BDDH-1, public participation at board meetings, the following guidelines and procedures will be followed. In order to speak during public participation, a public comment form must be filled out and submitted to the board president prior to the beginning of the meeting. The public comment period will not exceed 15 minutes. No individual will be permitted to speak more than once, and each speaker will be allotted no more than 5 minutes. I do not have any comment forms.
I do not either.
Thank you. Next, we have the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. In your board packet, there is a note of appreciation in there. We have completed, on the wrong computer. There we go. We have completed kindergarten enrollment registration. At St. John Elementary, it looks like we have about 75 enrolled. And I forget, just a few we're thinking about retaining. It's not a large number this year. So, you know, if you look at the history there, we've typically been upper 70s and ended up in the 90s. So we will watch that closely and make the appropriate preparations for the fall. Bloomsdale Elementary had 38 students register for kindergarten. I do have a request in my email for a student to go to Bloomsdale. And again, I think the retention list is pretty small at Bloomsdale. So we're anticipating smaller kindergarten classes this coming school year, but you can see that sometimes that anticipation is accurate and sometimes it's not. So we'll, like I said, we'll continue to watch it closely and make the appropriate adjustments as we go forward. Next, everyone's excited. I think there's even a countdown somewhere. Last day of school is Wednesday, May 24th. It'll be an early out day, so students will be released at 1 o'clock. We do have a work day and the checkout day for our certified staff members on Thursday, May 25th. So we are moving right along pretty quickly. Which brings us to prom. Prom is this Saturday, April 22nd, St. John Elks Lodge, 7 p.m. It's a great event and the kids look fantastic. And they seem to have a pretty good time. So I like prom a lot. Graduation is Saturday, May 20th in the Peggy J. Johnson Gymnasium. It will start at 8 p.m. Dr. Boyd could not be here tonight because they have a lot going on and everybody's all hands on deck, everyone's supervising. He asked that I share that the high school would like the board members there by 7:30 so we can get you in your flower and get you lined up. He also wanted me to share that on Friday, May 19th, they're going to hold their first Dragons with Distinction full ceremony. Dragons with Distinction is for a small group of students who are graduating with honors. So that's our new system, the Magna Cum and Cum Laude. So these graduates have picked the employee Doesn't matter if it's a certified employee, support staff employee, doesn't matter if they work in the high school or they work in our preschool program. The graduates attending this ceremony have picked the employee that they would like to give them their medal. So pretty excited. I think you said there's about 30 students participating. I believe
What time is that?
May 19th. It's the Friday before graduation.
At what time,
Um,
Mr. Fleet?
He did not give me a time, but I will find out.
Okay.
One of us will email you the additional information. But Dr. Boyd's and Mr. Schnabel are pretty excited about the ceremony.
They still practice and do they need Eric and I back? Okay.
Yes, we do practice Friday morning. This will be in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, the ceremony will be in the evening. That way the parents can
Yeah,
attend
particularly
too.
Eric, so he can practice all.
But again, one of us will send you an email with more information. My next item is just another reminder. We have the retirement and recognition banquet on Friday, May 12th. Again, at the Elks Lodge, 6 p.m. I'm going to turn it over. We're going to do the principal reports first. So, Mrs. Heberly, are you up first? Okay, let's.
Good evening.
There we go.
All right, so Mrs. Guilford, she did the inclusion art show, and I believe she held it at Common Grounds. And we had 4 winners: the Best in Show, Savannah Sanssouci; first place, Kinsley Ballou; second place, Madison Stomberg; and third place, Kendall Wagner. They were very excited. They even got to sell their artwork. So, and the kids earned the money. It was pretty neat. We had a lot of compliments on. Yes. We had kindergarten registration, which Dr. Fleet briefly touched on, and this year we tried something. We did a signing day for kindergarten registration, and the parents loved it. So the kids enjoyed it, and the parents loved it. So we're excited about that. Positive office referrals. The top row: Georgia Stewart, Sawyer Wozniak, Lincoln Gettinger, Rage Faulkner, and Liam Brown. In the middle, Amelia Causey, Caden Marler, Beckett Grind, and Shaylin Donovan. And the bottom row: Wyatt Schilling, Cash Stolzer, Tanner Karen, Sebastian Kemp, Crosby Wook, and Erilyn Keyser. Obviously earned their positive office referrals from different teachers throughout the building. Just exciting things going on in the building. This week, our first grade team has camping as a theme. They're also NWEA testing with big tents in their classroom. But the kids are really enjoying it, and so that was just a fun addition to the week. And then Mrs. Ram, third grade, hatched chicks in her classroom and invited the preschool and kindergarten in to, once the chicks hatched, then invited them in to hold the chicks. And she told me today that 4 students in her classroom took the chicks home to keep them. So she shared them with her students, which I thought was pretty awesome. And the ag students came out to our building and they visited the first and second grade classes. The children got to practice milking a cow, and the kids love this every year. I'm so glad she still brings them out. And then May 28th, oh no, I think it's April 28th, I wrote the wrong date, but they are going to the fairgrounds, first and second grade, to work with the ag students. And I think it's wonderful that our high school teachers involve us in these activities with our students. Mother and son dodgeball, father-daughter dance. Our PTO put this event on, and it's always a huge hit. The kids love it, and so do the parents. So I hope this is a tradition that our PTO will always continue to do, because they ask about it, and they really enjoy the time with their child. And faculty member of the month, Mrs. Ram. She Steph is such a valuable part of our school family. She is full of knowledge and wonderful resource for our strategies, tips, and tricks. She is always willing to listen and provide feedback for how to help you and or your students grow, or your students. We are blessed to have her, and that is so true. She's amazing with our students and a great resource for the rest of our teachers and myself. Nurse Vote was the staff member of the month. She works hard each day to make sure our students are safe and healthy. She is extremely knowledgeable and helpful in any situation, no matter what. Nurse Vote welcomes others into her office with a smile, which is also very true. So that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Good evening, guys. It's good to see you. Slide 1 here, I'm kind of putting a little plug out for a podcast that we started at our school. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, it's been an awesome process for the whole school. We're up to 6 episodes now, so check us out on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe. It's been great for everybody, for the students. Everybody. It's been really awesome for us. So we celebrated National School Librarian Day. We've got Megan Diamond, Jessica Uding, and Sarah Carlson that all work in the library and do an incredible job. It's a very different curriculum than when I was in school, and I'm guessing when you were in school, because there is a curriculum and the stuff they're doing is amazing. Really, really cool. So this is all about celebrations on this slide here. We had, with our new power program we're doing here, students earn dragon tracks and then get rewards from spinning a wheel when they meet their class goals. And some of the rewards were like serving pancakes to the students, picnic and popsicles, a dance party, or a classroom movie. So there are a couple shots there where I brought the Blackstone in and cooked pancakes on our playground and delivered some through the windows. You can see one flying through the air there. Tried to get it to the 4th grade teacher, but she did miss it.
Somebody likes Takis.
Yeah, that's me. I cut my ugly head off of the picture there, so you didn't have to look at that. But we celebrated Assistant Principals Week, and I got spoiled rotten. I have an entire drawer in my office now full of Takis, and that's true. And then another big celebration, the VFW Auxiliary Singing Contest. Get excited about the red, white, and blue. We had 2 students who both placed in it. Letty Jo Adams got 2nd place, and Grace Lip got 1st. So it's a video recording that will be sent on to the state competition as well. Some more things going on around SGE, going top left clockwise here. We had an author visit with Jennifer Nielsen. She's an author of a young adult's book, Iceberg. Each student that was in attendance here received a copy of the book. And I've been through several classrooms where they're reading them together and the kids are way into it. They're really enjoying it. It's a story of the Titanic told from a first-person point of view. We also had our pre-K through 2 family fun night. It was a Dr. Seuss theme with math and literacy activities for families. Some things you saw, students could participate in a book walk, which was like a cake walk where they walked off with some really nice books, had the opportunity to make snacks, crafts with their family. It was great just seeing everybody get to spend some time back in the school together. So top left going clockwise again. That's our 5th graders took a field trip to the St. Louis Aquarium. And it was just obviously a wonderful time. The kids really enjoyed it, a special opportunity for them. We held our Easter parties and had a special visit from the Easter Bunny there, you'll see. And then one of my favorites here, so Val Amschler received a CHEER grant, which is Caring Help for Education Endeavors by Retirees. That's a mouthful. From the MNEA Retired. So the best part about this was the check was presented by her mom, who's a retired teacher here, and they even shared the same classroom, which you probably also know, but so cool to see the generations there. She used that money to buy decodable readers for the classroom, a load of them, so you can see the students using them as well. And then these are our positive office referrals. I'll read them while the video plays. Abigail Adams, Levi Kaltenbraun, Layla Arnold, Chloe Hill, Timothy Wolk, Johnny Pendel, Willa Arnold, Elijah Underwood, Monica Fowler, Mason Nagger, Aaliyah Welch, Ava Mueller, Lucas Winston, Jason Porter, Keegan Wibbenmeyer, and Reese Evelsizer. We had our Student of the Month luncheons. On the left side there is the K through 2 students. So they come in and have lunch with Mrs. Gegg and myself and just kind of explain to us why they were chosen, and we talk about leadership qualities during that time. And then 3 through 5 on the right there. And all the students receive a book while they're with us. And featured teacher and super staff. Our featured teacher is Emily Bosler, our reading instructional coach. Teachers said Emily's a wonderful resource to have in our building. She's always looking for ways to make our jobs easier. Emily's has been phenomenal in providing resources and support with our literacy changes. And thank you, Emily, for making such a big impact to SGE for all of our students and staff. Next to her is Miss Betty Barr. Teachers said she takes care of so much more than she needs to. She makes it a point to learn the names of students. She's even been caught passing out holiday treats to some of the students to remind them how special they are. Her presence brings a level of comfort to the building. We love you, Betty, and we will miss you when you retire. And then next to her, Joyce Jokerst. Mrs. Joyce Jokerst is a blessing to our school community. She handles any and all situations with praise and dignity. She's good to offer advice or to listen to you when you're having a rough day. She will be missed in the office and around the building. And those are just some highlights of the many, many things that our teachers had to say about these ladies. That's all for St. John Elementary. Thank you, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Trenton Weber, and I'll be presenting this to you guys. So these are our buddy groups, which is where some middle schoolers get to go hang out with some younger kids, and it looks like they're playing the stack game, having a race. Looks like these people won. All right, art winners. I saw it out my window. 4 SGMS students created a winning design for the Mineral Area College Council on the Arts 9th Annual Light Pole Banner Contest. The theme for the 2023 contest was, I saw it out my window. Winning designs will be printed on a light post banner that will be displayed in Farmington throughout 2023. Congratulations to Hayden Fontenot, Mackenzie Greer, Lily Saup, and Kaya Lady. Now here on the outside we have a play put on by Drama, which is led by Miss Bosler and Mrs. Kime, I believe. And this play was a comedic murder mystery. And I went to see a preview of this play, and it was pretty good. A lot of laughs. Thanks to all the people that attended it, and hope we get to see you at the next play. Now, here we have 2 SGMS students who have placed in the VFW Auxiliary Illustrating America Art Contest. This contest is a patriotic art contest for elementary and middle/junior high school students. The contest consists of 3 grade divisions, K through 2, 3 to 5, and 6 through 8, with national awards for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place in each division. Blair Bowman earned 1st place at the local level and will move on to complete at the district level, and Riley Mole earned 2nd place. Now, here we have the zoo, which I believe the 6th graders went to, and then up here we have the aquarium, which I went to, and these are some fish that ate the dead skin off your hands. I mean, and it was a lot of fun. Hope that we get to go back again. All right, here are Dragons on Fire. We have Logan Clayton, Parker Stallenberg, Jackson Berg, Roxana Hudson, Quentin Parish, Clara Volker, Kate Fisher, me, Brian Wolk, Ava Zerwig, Roxana Hudson, Simon Fritsch, Madison Lagarce, Jackson Google, and Dane Ebelsizer. So, Spotlight Award. Dean Gamache, always positive and works extremely hard. He is our. All right. He's a smiling face in the morning, great addition to our building. And he's always kind and helpful to everyone, always greets everyone with a smile. He says hi to me in the hallway. And he does any task with a smile on his face. What's ahead? On the 7th grade immunization clinic on the 24th of April. And we have the immunization clinic on the 25th. We have ELA map testing begins. And on the 30th, SGMS band concert at about 3 o'clock. And on the 1st, we will have Big Smiles Dental Clinic. That'll be a good time. And then on the 2nd, we have math map testing. Yep. And on the 5th, Science Club field trip, which definitely be a good time. And on the 8th, science map testing begins. Thank you.
How you doing? That's a link to our slideshow if you want to click on that. It's our high school presentation. We got Tyson Schaffner up here. He's the kind of leader of the Patched Overalls grant, where one junior each year gets to take on a trip, and I believe they get $2,500 to go on the trip. The grant is $2,500. They have to write out a plan for that trip for Patched Overalls. Right here we have our Raku Day imaged. This was at the honors banquet. It's our saxophone trio. This is Ona Lytle at our Unified Track. And then our Elk Student of the Month this month was Allie Byington, and our Rotary Student of the Month was Lily Boyd. And our Positive Office referrals this month was Madison Henson, Caleb Wilson, Adam Allen, Lucy Sears, Chase Beckett, Jacqueline Brown, Katie Allen, Kennedy Wybrick, Peyton McCrory, and Shairi Lohman. And then are some sports news here. We have Paul Taylor, who broke the men's javelin throw school record on the 14th. His throw was 47.5 meters. Broke that as a freshman. And he's a lot bigger than he looks in this picture. And then softball was MAAA conference champions for the first time in school history. They played last night and beat Kingston 17-1, and then just won tonight 8-7 over Central.
For the winner, their game is playing right now is Valley against Potosi, and the lead is playing for first tomorrow at
West County, not Potosi. And then over here is the Dan Clark Honors Ceremony, the 33rd annual. It highlights special students, the top 10% for GPA in each class. And pictured is the foreign language award winners. So each certain class their teacher got to pick a award winner for that subject. And then some more news. We have the Addams Family musical that was the weekend of the 14th to the 16th. They had a preview in the high school, and it was really good. This is the cast picture here. Lead was Michael Speakman. Great guy. Baseball and boys golf are in full swing. Very funny. Pictured is Gavin Hook and Aiden Meyer. And then here we have a Racky. You know more about that than I do.
So Miss Bowman takes a group of students from her art class, from like all of her art classes whenever they do ceramics and sculptures, and they take all of them out on a day and all of those students make a clay project in the class that they have with Miss Bowman, and then they fire it using old firing techniques outside on by the football field. And it's a really cool experience because they have these like huge. It gets up to like 1,000 degrees. I think they said it literally gets up to 1,000 degrees, and they drop this huge like metal trash can over your project, and there's water around it. It's just a really cool experience to be and see around all day and see how they all turn out. You put this really nice like finish on all of them. They all turn out different. It's just a really neat experience.
And in the middle is the NHS clothing sale, where the NHS kids got a bunch of clothing and they sold it in the high school in here. And then whatever wasn't sold was donated. So money went to NHS. Everything else went to a great cause there. On the far right, we have speech and debate, FFA, and FBLA are all leaving for state for their respective competitions. Picture on the top is speech and debate that are going to state. We have Jaden Rickman going for original oratory, Trey Bloom, who is going for Lincoln Douglas debate, and I believe original oratory as well. Bennett Walls, who placed second, so he didn't make it to state. Reagan Winch. Jeremiah Coons, who is going to state for policy debate with Shay Coleman. And then on the bottom is FBLA, who are also going to state. And then this was our unified track meet. There's a video here. Bunch of the elementary school classes, or a couple of them, came out to the field to watch the track meet, and we got them really excited and really pumped up for our athletes running. This is a big group picture of all the athletes and all the workers that were there. This is a picture of as the schools came in, we had two alleyways as like a tunnel, so we could all cheer them on as they came into the facility down at the field. We have Logan Negger here pictured with, I believe, his mom, and then Lena over here as well. And then our teacher of the month for April was Dustin Keeker. A student said a lot about Mr. Keeker. I got a little snippet of what he said. It says, when I first came into high school, he was someone that I could go to and feel comfortable with. And they went on to say that he was a great teacher, person, and friend to all the staff. No one has anything bad to say about him. I really appreciate everything that he has done for me and all of my friends and classmates. I personally have Mr. Keeker. He's a great teacher. Make sure that everybody's understanding the entire topic. And that's all we got.
Thank you. That was a lot of great stuff. I think everyone want to echo that went. That play was amazing.
It was fabulous.
So the lead characters did really well. Even the backup Mr. Draper's role was excellent. And I think the one I went to, there was a special appearance by Mr. Boyd as the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
Even though we discussed that Eric would have been a great Grim Reaper.
There is a emergency drill memo under the safety reports, and the last thing I wanted to share, it isn't on the agenda, but just more of an informational piece. We have the barn at Yanks ball field. It has become a hazard. It's very unsafe and it's falling down. So we're in the process right now. Our maintenance crew is in the process of cleaning it out. And Dr. Taylor is going to call tomorrow to have all the lines underneath the ground marked. But we have demolition planned on that barn that will begin the week of May 22nd. So we'll take it down, and we're working with, is it Mid-America Barnwood? To get it taken down, and then they will take up the foundation and the concrete and put down gravel, so it will be a parking lot. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is unfinished business, and the first item is the instructional program presentation for middle school science.
All right.
Hi.
Good
Thank you.
evening. Hi.
Hello. All right. So we are the middle school science department. Our next slide has a little about us. So I'm Rachel Hain. I teach 6th grade and 8th grade. And then we have Katie Diamond here off to the side. She is 7th and 8th grade. And then in the middle here we have Kendall Dobbs. She is 6th and 7th grade, and tonight Justin Roth couldn't be here, but he is also a part of our team taking on some of our 7th graders and our STEM program, which is new in the last couple of years. So an interesting thing about our team that you guys can see here, yeah, there's 3 of us, and there are 3 grade levels, so some schools ask, why don't I just do 6th, 7th, 8th, or whatever. So this gives us a really unique opportunity to constantly collaborate. So I'm talking with both of these two constantly. They're talking with each other. So it's set up in a unique way that our program, our science program is phenomena based, and we have kind of dedicated ourselves to that in the last couple of years. And what that means for us is whenever we introduce a new topic, the pictures here are of 2 iguanas. Whenever we introduce a new topic, we really try to introduce to the kids based on real world situations, so they can ask authentic questions. We're not making up scenarios like, oh, Sally went to the store and, so they are learning real life things, they are asking questions, they're discovering through things that they can eventually experience. So this was adaptation and selection. We've got a marine iguana and a land iguana and how they have adapted to their different habitats. And we use that we introduce topics that way, and then we kind of go back and explain each piece of phenomena or each piece of selection through that phenomena, rather than just saying, oh, just trust us, natural selection happens and here's how. So they get an opportunity to really discover.
So I'm going to talk about the 6th grade curriculum. We learn about, in the first semester, we do scientific inquiry, matter interactions, waves, and space science. And then in our 2nd semester, we teach about the sun, moon, and earth system, cells, plants, and ecology. This is just what we've been doing recently in the 2nd semester. So right here is our photosynthesis lab that we did with our 6th grade, and they had to investigate a possible real-world situation where our pet store ran out of oxygen pumps, and they had to see how they could solve their problems with Alodia plants, to see where they should place them in the store to get that oxygen to the fish. This was a cell class project, so we do a lot of individual and group work, but sometimes we'll have all of our classes work together to complete a project, but also have individual accountability. And then this last one is just our students in our cell unit observing plant structures and the Alodia plants and cheek cells.
So I'm Katie Diamond again, and I teach 7th grade as well as 8th grade. And we start our first semester with density because I just found that with earth science, it goes back to density throughout the entire year. So if they are able to understand that, they really will have a solid foundation throughout the rest of the year. We go into geology first, rock cycle, plate tectonics, and then Earth's past, where they're looking at layers of the Earth and how we know how old the Earth is and things like that. And then the 2nd semester, we go more into meteorology and human impact. So we talk about the water cycle, weather, how it works, oceans and climate, and then we finish with human impact. And so we're about to do one of my favorite projects where we're doing a school improvement project. So they're able to study human impact first and then see kind of where we can improve as a school to reduce our impact on the environment. So it's really cool. This is just a field trip that we did during December. So right during our Earth's Past, and we got to go to the St. Genevieve Learning Center and explore there. there was an awesome tour guide that showed us and gave us a lot of information throughout the museum, and then they ended it with a scavenger hunt.
This is our 8th grade curriculum. Another thing that you guys might notice that we designed kind of in a unique way from other middle school science programs is we also do not do like 6th grade as just life science, 7th grade is just earth science, and 8th grade is just physical science, or we spiral 6th and 8th grade a little bit, so we leave some concepts in 6th grade that are very similar here, so we do have those cells again here, but we scaffold to a higher level with our 8th graders. Things that they're more ready and more mature about, like reproduction and stuff like that with our 8th graders. So we do cell theory, we do our body systems, reproduction, matter and chemistry, and then for our 2nd semester, we do a lot of those physical science concepts again, so some that you saw in 6th grade. But in this semester and at this level with energy, force, we are calculating equations at this point that they are again more ready for in 8th grade. So we have structured our curriculum in a way that we have seen over the years benefit our students, their maturity, and meet them at their level. So we do spiral that 6th and 8th grade. Oh, and we always, sorry, you don't have to go back, but we always finish the year, we're really excited to finish the year with our crime scene investigation. So that kind of keeps them excited about school right until the very end. So talking about blood spatter, velocity, you know, yeah, the really fun stuff, fingerprinting, urine analysis, things like that, that are always talking about science, but keeps them engaged until May 24th at 1 o'clock. So this was, I'm actually going to throw it back to Diamond for a second, but this was a bonding reaction that her kids did.
Yeah, I call this class my advanced science class, even though they're not technically advanced, but we kind of went above and beyond here, and we finished last semester with a lab with elephant toothpaste, except we actually looked at the bonds of each of the chemicals inside the elephant toothpaste. We bonded them, looked at the chemical reaction, balanced the chemical reaction. So this is above our standards, but they were ready for it, kind of. So it was a really fun experience and lots of laughter, and they had a good time there.
And so just things that we're looking forward to as the science department, as the middle school, as a group. So this is some just NWEA scores here, some raw data from our fall to our winter. And so we color coded these scores as they would turn red if we are not hitting the national average in that grade level. And I believe this was 6th grade. I think I took a sample from there, maybe 6th or 8th. So it's red if they're not meeting the grade level national average. Green if they are. Then on that 3rd column, that's white or yellow, how many points they've grown between fall and winter. And so we're just in the process of really sorting through our NWEA data. Our principals have been awesome to give us time, half a day, both semesters, to really sift through that data, look at what national averages mean, look at where our kids fall, is growth happening, what areas do we need to identify going forward, how we can structure that curriculum to maximize our growth. So we're really, really excited about looking at that data because we're nerdy and we like it. So that's kind of what we're using to go forward, to propel us forward.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the summer school update.
Yes. So the summer school schedule has been set. The first semester will be May 30th through June 16th. These dates were created in conjunction with feedback from the teachers. One of the changes that we have looked at making is trying to go to a 4-day week. They were hoping to have like Fridays off, but the way 4th of July fell and some other dates fell, sometimes it was on a Monday, or we would do a full week in order to have some of the days on the next week fit. So we're going to try it this year, but we're going to have 60 hours still in each semester in order for them to get credits. And then in the second semester, courses are June 20th through July 12th. And we did change also the start times. All the start times will be the same. So to provide some consistency, we'll see how that helps our students with remembering to wake up and go to class. We are offering English and Algebra 1 for credit recovery, and then we're also offering personal finance. I think we're able to get some of the students excited about the possibility of personal finance this year. We're up to 29 that are interested in attending. So those numbers are up quite a bit this year. So hopefully we'll get them to come in once summer hits and actually get those courses completed, which will help us out because I think we have several that need those credits more than maybe this year. So that'll help our numbers during the school year too. Elementary. Oh, I guess I don't talk about elementary. Okay. Elementary is more of a reading program, supplemental reading program, and we have also set those dates for May 30th through June 16th. And that's a shortened day. It'll be 7:45 to 10:40 each day. So we're excited about the possibilities and hope to maybe continue to grow those summer options for our students.
Thank you. Next, we have Prop SG update.
Oh, we need to approve this.
Oh. Oh.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 summer school schedule.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we have Prop SG.
Good evening, everyone. We met with KRJ Architects and Brock Miller Construction yesterday morning to do an update out at Bloomsdale Elementary School, and we started with Bloomsdale Elementary School. Kelly came in this evening and mentioned that the brick is on all of the outside walls. Just the front, sorry. The back side and the front, we're still going to work on the side where the door is. It's coming along nicely. They've got it under roof, so they're able to go inside and work as well on rainy days. That project has progressed to the point where I don't want to jinx this, but we're a bit ahead of schedule. So Matt Pig, our construction site manager, said if we stay where we are, we should finish in time to allow the teachers to get back in August and get a jump on next year. We then moved on to the Early Childhood Center. We've received a lot of information from the committee that took a trip to the two early childhood centers. We're kind of combing through the information. They emailed Bailey what they liked, what they didn't like. We got some great information back from them. So we went through a new rendering of what the Early Childhood Center would look like based on the floor plan and some comments that we had before. We're going through the comments that we received from the committee, and we were on the phone with Romy 2 times today, and she's making additional adjustments. We're going to take those updated floor plans down to the Early Childhood Center Thursday afternoon and meet with teachers, show them where we are, get their input as well. And then I think we talked about timelines for the Early Childhood Center, the middle school elevator, and then St. Genevieve Elementary, when the bid packages are going to go out, how long they're going to stay out, and then when we can plan on starting those projects as well.
Thank you. All right, next we have new business, and the first item is a board resolution for the Success Ready Student Network System Design Zone Demonstration Project with a federal waiver request. I think I got all that.
So this resolution is part of the work that we've been involved with this year with the Student Success Network. Dr. Mercer and Andrea Fritsch and myself have been involved, and we've been relaying some of the information to various groups. And part of the process of this is to design a system to where we can better use the information we're getting to help our students, and then the students and the parents can better understand where they're at and where they need to be. So currently, right now, we're using our state testing system, and we're getting results ideally by the end of the year, most of the time in August. And by that time, it's too late. Some people would call that like a autopsy. And so, speaking your language, right? We would like to have results where we can act on them, so more like a checkup. And so then you're able to change what you're doing along the way, and so then we can better serve our students, and our students can better see where are we at. We currently have some systems in place that we're currently already doing that, but they don't count on the state level for accountability. So what we're seeking is a waiver in order to use what we have in place of some of the requirements for the state. Another piece of that with that accountability piece is, where do you want me to get into that part? The market value assets? Is this where you would like me to walk into it? Briefly. So another piece of that is also looking at how can we prepare our students for life beyond our school. And students take different pathways, and sometimes they're not even sure what pathway they want to take. So part of this work is also being able to set them up with what others are calling market value assets. So being able to either graduate with college credit or with industry recognized credentials or internships or entrepreneurial experiences. We're already doing some of that, so it's just a matter of continuing to build those opportunities for our students and give them kind of a leg up on the competition once they leave here. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question regarding item 6 here. Can you explain? It says to use theory of action for assessment and theory of action for accountability as an alternative to current M-6 and APR requirements. Can you put that in layman's terms?
Sure. Yes. So what they're wanting to do is build a system that is more interactive and more up to date instead of at the end result, this is where we're at. And they're trying to find measures that show the whole picture as well. I think we see it every month when we're presenting with the principals' reports some of the great things that are going on, and some of those aren't being measured, and they're hard to because they're not quantitative. So being able to come up with an accountability system and that reflects some of the work that's going on in the schools other than just test scores or graduation rates.
So how would that impact, M-6 is so new and only having a year of data, and I know we've talked about it last board meeting. What impact will this have on that going forward? Like, do you see a significant impact on us?
I think it would just, what they're trying to seek is relief from having to worry about some of those check boxes. For instance, like Dr. Taylor talked about the great people we have with being able to churn in the data, and sometimes that was the difference between 2 or 3 points on that. And instead of having to have that focus for 3 years, we could put some of our energy towards some of the programs that we know that are helping our students. So rather than worrying about filling out the correct boxes that we did ICAP, actually using some of that time to, well, how are we using the ICAP and how can we help those students with those plans? So I don't think it would negatively hurt us because I think we're still going to be using good practices. It's just going to look different on the reporting side of the point.
If the waiver is granted, because all we're doing right now is adopting a resolution to ask for the waiver.
Correct.
If the waiver is granted, will we still have an APR?
I don't believe we would. So there's 2 different sides of it. There's the federal side, which is the assessment, and then there's the state side, which is the accountability side. So we're basically seeking kind of 2 different waivers. And so what this group would be working towards is having a waiver towards that typical accountability with the MSIP, and then building something else. But they're doing that also in conjunction with DESE and talking about, well, what's acceptable. So they're not going to get a waiver and just be able to do whatever they want. There's still going to be measures where they're saying, we have to have this, you have to report on that. So I think it'll be a bit of a compromise.
One thing that I found really unique about this process is that DESE has continued to sit at the table with us while we've been thinking through these things. They remain in the planning process with us throughout because they want to be a partner in what might come next, and therefore have been accommodating. They've been listening. They've been facilitating in ways that I haven't seen before when we have tried to approach them about alternatives. So I think they have an interest in what you're trying to do, just as much as we have an interest in what they're trying to do. And it's more of a partnership than I've ever seen.
That is good.
Dr. McClard, is it kind of in essence like an application when we say it's a request where do they have to look at what we have in place and decide if we're ready
Correct.
to jump into this?
And we're doing it as a consortium, so it's not just St. Genevieve, it's all the districts that are part of the student success or student ready
So it's
success
one or all,
network.
but the whole consortium gets
Correct.
the waiver, or nobody does.
Correct. And so we're all working together on, well, this is what, I don't know, Lindbergh does, this is what St. Genevieve does, what's the commonality? For instance, a through-year assessment, meaning that we'll give the assessment throughout the year, kind of like what we did with NWEA, and we would use that as something that we would use to report and measure. And some of the requirements are we had to get a psychometrician so they could validate how the scores align, and we've signed a data agreement to be able to share our NWEA, and they can compare it against our state test to see, are they valid, do they reflect kind of where the students are. So,
What percentage of public schools in Missouri are part of the consortium?
we're up to 56.
Oh, wow.
There's also other groups involved too, like there's a curriculum group, there's a charter school that I know is part of it. And they're adding more on, not in the system design zone, but in the exploratory group that's just learning about some of the work that's going on.
You mean 52 individual districts?
Correct. Yep.
Our groups, like curriculum groups. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. And sorry if I keep asking basic questions, but there's no fear with, if we get this waiver, we don't have an MSIP 6 score, that when they go back to it, if we don't have the waiver for the following year, we don't have data. Now, we're on a good foot, right? Because we got 92, whatever it was, we got our APO.
Yeah.
So we're all there, but if we were at 75 and we get this waiver and then the next year we come back and we're at an 80 and suddenly it's like you made improvements, but your average score over the 3-year period is only your two scores are by 2, so there's no fear with any of those things.
I think to what Dr. Mercer said, it's a partnership with DESE. And so if we receive the waiver and we're able to build these processes in to show the accountability piece, that we would continue to work with DESE and make tweaks as we go instead of defaulting to, well, everybody's going back to MSIP 6. I think it's a departure from what traditional school accountability would look like, and it's going to be entering into a new, well, now we need to look at it differently because our school districts are approaching it differently.
Yeah. The hope is to build something where DESE and the schools agree that is a better reflection of schools and to use that moving forward.
Right. Yeah. And they use through-year course assessment. They use the word adaptability. That's a piece that a lot of people aren't talking about. But like on our NWEA test, when you have a child who's not at grade level, that test will adapt and go down to wherever he or she is at and then start pushing them to see how far they can push them. On the other side, when you have a kid who is ahead of their class, it will go up and start pushing them to see how far above grade level they are. So, and the other important piece is that real-time data. You know, it's not an autopsy anymore. It's actually actionable data that we can dig into and make the changes, a few days or right after we give the assessment.
I think it's a valid concern of, well, if we go back, is that gonna put us behind? But I think all of the items that are there on that report are still going to be something that we're focused on. We're still gonna look at attendance and graduation and career readiness.
I guess
Yeah.
the hesitancy or fear is that, we did so well
Yeah.
on the M6, the initial one coming out, and now that we're pushing it away from it, but we're stepping out of it already. It's like, we did well. You kind of want to flex that muscle,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, the end goal is not just to, anybody can shoot for a perfect APR. The reality is I don't want to say you can cook the books, but you can manipulate things to show you're doing really well when in reality you may not be. But if we're doing being proactive and making sure our kids are prepared for life after high school, then that's ultimately what matters.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, I have just one more question.
Yeah.
So you know how when you take the map test, DESE gathers all the data and analyzes it. So if you're St. Genevieve School District, do they make you submit your NWEA scores, or if you're Lindbergh, you have to submit whatever it is you use, and they go comb through that the way they comb through your map scores?
I think the details of that still need to be decided. I think the first step is to look at, are we even going to have this waiver before we start
Right.
planning some of that? But they have partnered up with Marzano Education, and that's who right now is looking at the data and showing that it aligns with it. So I could see something like that.
I mean, 'cause to build on what Josh said, if these 52 schools don't have to turn anything in, it could get a little loose. I mean,
If you'll remember back to when we started this process and we became a member of MOAP with those other school districts,
right.
Dr. Mercer went with us to evaluate companies based on how they were testing the data that they were giving back. And one of the reasons we went with NWEA at St. Genevieve was because they've done this in another state already. They were able to go to that state and say, this score on the NWEA equates to an advanced or equates to a basic. So they've already done it in other states. They've already received the waiver in other states. And that's why when we were a member of MOAP, we went that direction. Now, Success Ready Students Network has moved in. So it's kind of along those same lines. They're thinking along the same lines. And I know that NWEA has psychometricians that have already looked at the data and have been evaluating the data. But I think over and above that, the Marzano group has been brought on in order to do the same thing.
And I think the other piece of that is time and time again, especially with the APR coming out, they want to make sure that people understand that this group's not running from that they are truly invested in coming up with a better system and a better way forward for the students. It's not about we're trying to get out of accountability or anything like that. It's more of how can we better create a system that's not the old factory system of, okay, you go here, you're a widget, and you're going through this exact pace. It's more, we are going to adapt and make sure that students are gaining these competencies so they're ready. And for some students, they may pick them up in a couple of weeks. Other students may need a little bit more time, but we also want to not just take a test, we want to be able to use them and adapt them and use it in the job setting. So gaining some of those other skills like collaboration and thinking on your feet and applying knowledge that you've learned and knowing when to apply that knowledge, I think are big key factors as well.
Certainly understand the fear of we're doing really well, but also we're doing really well. What can we do to continuously improve? And I just want to make sure I understand. So the goal here is to look at how we test, what we measure, the tools that we're using, and then look at how the state's looking at that. Can these schools come together and provide a better measure of the outcome, being our students?
That's correct. Okay. And I think for parents to be able to see that growth too, I think that's another piece that we haven't mentioned is, if I'm starting from 2 grade levels below, if I take the grade level assessment, I'm probably going to end up below basic by the end of the year. And it's not going to show the growth that I've made with my teacher for that full year. So with a system like this, you're going to see, yes, the work you're putting in is paying off, and we're seeing the growth and we're seeing what's working, and then you can continue from there.
Is part of this trying to do competency-based learning and competency-based grading?
The grading kind of falls under that umbrella, but one of the Marzano associates said it. He goes, I'm very careful to use the word grading, and I want to make sure I use the word learning because sometimes we get too focused on what the outcome is, but really it's about the process of making sure that students are learning these competencies, and how we report it is important, but typically a lot of people go straight to the report card.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, no, you go finish.
Is a lot of this NWEA, we're doing that already. Is this going to be any extra work
Right.
for our staff?
Yeah. I think there will be work involved, but I think it's work that already aligns with what we're doing. I think even talking with the CSIP group and talking about what they value and what we're looking forward towards is providing more partnerships with the community so we can give our students more opportunities outside of just a regular traditional classroom day. Looking at Mr. Roth's class, like those are some of the experiences that you would want to build upon. I think in talking to most of the elementary teachers, they want to go towards standards reference grading. I think that falls under this. But first, we're looking at those competencies or those standards that we want our students to master and going from there. I don't think it's a sprint. I think it's more of an incremental, continue to build what we're focused on, and we would continue to do that work. Yeah. But it's not going to be different work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I'm oversimplifying it, but the way I'm hearing you say is we're not transforming the way we're teaching our kids or the things we're doing. It's more administrative in how we're reporting those things, whether we're doing MSIP 6 or we're doing what this new system is going to be. But in essence, we're not changing the way we're doing things now.
I think we would adjust some of what we're doing. We would continue to build on our best practices and share those practices with each other and think about how to do that. So like Mr. Boga's question about standards-based grading, like it may end up eventually changing our report card or changing the sequence of how we teach something because we know that we want them to get to this standard. So we may make adjustments, but it's not going to be a overhaul where we're doing something completely different.
Is there a feeling amongst the group that the waiver will be granted? Or
I think that's, yeah. Yeah.
That's up to DESE or the Department of Education?
I think it's up to the Department of Education as far as the federal end of core or the MAP test. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the district's continued full participation in the Success Ready Students Network System Design Zone work in partnership with DESE and seeking a federal waiver request to replace the Missouri Assessment Program with through-year assessments.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I don't know how to put it back in. May I ask?
That's okay.
Okay. Miss Gettinger, did you do something to take Jamie out of the vote? No. She's not in, even though she is now, so I'm documenting on paper. You and I will have to talk after the meeting.
Yes.
Right as it started.
Yes.
That's what I think maybe, but when I go back to it, I don't even see her. So we'll talk. I've been doing paper and so have you. We'll get her fixed up. Okay.
All right.
So did you vote on that, Jamie? Okay.
Next, we have a board resolution for the appointment of a Blue Ribbon Commission to study Missouri's funding formula.
Yes, just like map testing, there's many different versions of legislation in the Senate and the House to look at how Missouri funds public schools. So when we were at the MASSA Superintendent's Conference into March, we were given this resolution to discuss and present with our boards. Basically, it's a movement from leaders in Missouri, public school leaders, to ask the State Board of Education to look at the the foundation formula and see how we can improve upon it. For St. Genevieve, the money we receive from the state is very low. It's only about 13.5% of our budget. It was a little bit higher 5 years ago, but Wholesome came on the books. And, I know they're protesting the majority of their taxes, but they are paying smaller portions, which increased our local assessed valuation. When your local money goes up, your state money goes down. So for St. Genevieve, we've lost state money because we have a higher assessed valuation in our county. I know there's a push in the state to increase and improve upon the beginning teacher salary. We've been fortunate, we're well above what the state minimum salary is. But again, that's contributed to our local tax base. It is not contributed to our state money. So with the push to try to increase that, there's a lot of people wanting the state to take a look at this, because if they want to increase teacher salary, then the state has to put something in to fund that increase. They have to invest in our teachers and our kids and our public schools. So I would ask you to pass this resolution and just be a part of the movement to ask the State Board of Education to consider putting together a blue ribbon commission.
Does this take into consideration of transportation?
Transportation is a part of it.
It's gonna be all looked at.
Yes. I took out all bond refunding money, anything that would have impacted, like in the calculation of the total money that we received. I took out the bond refunding money. I took out all the CARES and ESSER federal, just because those numbers are inflated and they inflate our overall totals. So I took those out before I did the state calculations.
I noticed you put in here that over the past 6 years, our state funding has decreased by 0.3645%.
Correct.
In some of the most inflational years we've had
Yes.
over the past 30 or 40 years. Part of the foundation formula is the state adequacy target. If you put it in here, I apologize.
6375.
Well, not the amount, but do you know what year that was set? 2005 maybe?
Something like that. It was
So
early
the state
2000s.
adequacy target hasn't increased for almost 20 years,
No,
which is
that's another issue.
an issue. $6,375 per student. I can't pull up DESI that quite quickly, but I want to say we spend somewhere in the $10,000 or $11,000 range per student, perhaps more.
14.
14. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the appointment of a blue ribbon commission to study Mr. funding requirements.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the proposals for audit services.
We received two proposals, one from B-Sync, Hay, Rowe, and Stroder, and one from Clifton, Larson, Allen. We received a phone call from Clifton, Larson, Allen indicating their need to raise our rates, and we were a little bit shocked by the amount that they indicated they would have to raise them. So we put a proposal out for audit services. We got two back. And as you can see on the screen, one is significantly cheaper than the other one. Dr. Fleeg had some phone calls in to some people. Did they ever get back with you?
They got back to me this afternoon. Positive interactions, they're very helpful. They like you to ask questions ahead of time, because when they come in to do the audit, they're coming in to do the audit. So one of the things that the schools I talked to said that is when they're there to do the audit, they're going to go through everything, and you probably are going to have findings. So it could be you coded something just to the wrong fund. They're not necessarily bad findings, major findings, but they're kind of, hey, you just need to know that you're not doing this right. So, they truly come in and do the audit, and you need to ask the questions in front of the audit. So, but everybody I talk to loves working with them, and they think they do an amazing job. So.
So given the fact that they do work with school districts and we received positive feedback, we would recommend that you accept the audit proposal from Desync, Hay, Rowe, and Stroder LLC and approve a 5-year agreement from fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 27.
What were we paying it? Down before.
Prior to this year, it was in the $16,000 range. This year, it was $19,000, $19,600. They told us that Clifton Larson Allen is a big company. Corporate basically pushed down and told them that they weren't going to lose money on the audits anymore, that they were going to bill for true hours that they were having their auditors work on audits. And I think there was a price increase because they're struggling to find people to do this work. So they've increased salaries dramatically.
Dr. Fagan, you said you touched base with some of these other districts you listed, and they've always been happy. Did I hear you say that? Okay.
Yes. When you have new bookkeepers and things like that, one of the people I talked to had a new bookkeeper, and they had, more findings than normal. But he said when they present the findings, it's more of, hey, this is just an informational thing. It's not, major findings, yes, are an issue, but just informational findings.
A good thing to have a different set of eyes.
Yes.
This is also the city's auditor, and really,
Oh, it is.
and the city treasurer speaks very highly.
Exactly. Yes.
And
No. Correct.
if you go year after year without findings, you got to question if they're doing their due diligence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So findings aren't always a bad thing.
Correct.
I'll move to accept the audit proposal from Busick, Hay, Rowe, and Stroder LLC and approve a 5-year agreement from fiscal year 2023 through 2027.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have proposals for our 403B, 457B investment management services.
Yes, we received 4 proposals, one from Ameriprise Financial Services, one from Edward Jones, one from Retirement Plan Advisors, and one from the Bedford Group. We went through all 4, talked about a variety of different pros and cons for each. We talked to Megan, our payroll person, who handles the majority of this type of thing. Kind of walked through that with her as well, got some input from her. We landed on the Bedford Group from Ameriprise Financial with Josh Wright. He's local. I called 3 references on the Bedford Group. I received all good reports. The common theme in all of them was that he's very proactive and wants to have not just semi-annual meetings, but quarterly meetings. And then if at any point in time you have an employee or employee groups that are concerned about something, he wants to be made aware so that he can come in and address those as well. I think one of the things with the last company that handled these two, this 403B and 457B, was that they're not local, and then we had kind of a turnover in that company, and then it seemed like our questions went unanswered and employee questions went unanswered. This particular group being local and having an office in town gives our employees a direct access to them, and I think will serve them really well. So are there any questions about those 4 proposals? Another main factor was the number of employees that they had at each one of these to work directly with our people. Josh had a team that he had listed within there, so we felt good about being able to manage the number of employees that we have here. So if there are no questions, I'd recommend that we accept the 403B, 457B Investment Management Services proposal from the Bedford Group.
I'll just say he had a very thorough.
Yes.
It was very thorough.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
I will abstain. I'm employed by Edward Jones.
Oh, gosh,
Did you already click it?
no. Okay, Josh, this thing's gonna be a wreck tonight. Okay, so Josh is abstaining. Chrissy, okay, good.
Next, we have the addition of a behavioral intervention teacher coach.
So Mrs. Drury has been keeping an eye on the amount of money that we're spending on contracted services. And there comes a point when you ask yourself, is it time to just look for somebody that we need to employ? I also talked to Clint Johnston, retiring superintendent at Jefferson R7, about his contracted services and the amount of money they're paying for it. He's seeing the same thing at Jefferson R7. It's hard to find somebody, so they're contracting these services out. And you don't know what students you're going to have and what services they're going to need. It's hard to hire somebody up front. So Jamie put pen to paper and started thinking about when it would make sense to hire somebody and just have them on staff in order to serve students. So we also looked at the number of students currently being served by contracted services and the number of students that we could serve should we employ somebody by the district. Jamie, do you want to speak at all to the rationale?
Yeah, the rationale is it's private document, but we're just saying the need for increased behavior needs as far as teacher needs, coaching, any additional support with diversified strategies and activities with behavior modification and improvement. This position would serve all students that need help with behaviors and all teachers that have students that need help with behaviors in the classroom with behavior support specialists. We found that that was pretty isolated in special education. This position would branch out and between school social worker, family administrators, we're looking at what those behaviors are, what those needs are as far as coaching and intervention services.
Yeah, so I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 on that contracted services for this year. And we're going to exceed that. And in talking to Clint at Jefferson R7, I think they were in excess of that as well. So we think it would benefit our students more. It makes more sense fiscally to add this position. So we're proposing the addition of this position for our students.
It would also give us more immediate student have behaviors, transfer student, or one that we've been looking at, we have more immediate ability to get someone helping the teachers and helping the child versus having to wait and see the contracted person. Is our current contractor, is it behavior health and homeless, like who our contractors now? I was just, I checked our numbers on that.
Yeah, we're not like a multi-year contract. This is something we do.
I think it's,
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the addition.
hang on.
So when you ask that, are you thinking this will be year to year?
No, I'm asking on the contracted service.
Okay.
So we're not paying both.
Yeah, yes.
Qualifications as Missouri teaching certificate, is that pretty easy to, I'm gonna say easy to obtain, I mean in a bad way, but like our current behavioral interventionist, does that individual have the teaching certificate or? Yeah.
This position, we are looking at having that elementary and cross-categorical certification, even though it's not just for special education. The other criteria we put on the qualifications is we're looking for experience working with students with autism, emotional disturbances, and behaviors. That encompasses the ability to work with
These are some of the ones I talked to quite a bit about.
We've got a lot of specific instances this year that we know are just gonna increase as time passes. Different times our hands are tied. When our hands are tied, that ties us up. And that affects our teachers. And this could eliminate that.
So we're focusing on a sped teacher this time as opposed to mental health background.
The qualification would be that they have this sped certification, only because when we look at the experience, they're gonna have experience with autism, most likely because of the emotional disabilities and the behavior.
Okay.
So we are looking for, part of that too, is if it's a teaching certificate, they need to go in the classroom, work with these behavior, students with behaviors on sometimes things such as writing, interpreting these kids. That teacher can go in especially designs of instruction for non-identified students.
Okay.
Whereas a special ed teacher, you have to identify.
So they'll fall in the teacher salary scale. Okay.
And just to share the magnitude of the behaviors and the self-regulation issues and what we're seeing in public education in Missouri and throughout the country. Our local RPDC went to DESE and requested that they allow them to hire behavior interventionists. So they're going to do that in the fall, and they're going to have someone on staff to be working with teachers and coaches and on these behaviors, trying to help them learn how to help these students regulate and deal with their emotions. So we're fortunate that our RPDC went after it.
That's great.
So Jim made the motion. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and we move on to Ms. Deasy.
Sorry, wrong click. Okay. I make a motion under revised Missouri Statute 610.021 that the Board of Education adjourn to a closed meeting with a closed record and a closed vote after a short break for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business: hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees, scholastic probation, expulsion, or graduation of identifiable individuals, and individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees or applicants of employees, except that this exemption shall not apply to the names, positions, salaries, and lengths of services of officers and employees of public agencies once they are employed as such, and the names of private sources donating or contributing money to the salary of a chancellor or president at all public colleges and universities in the state of Missouri, and the amount of money contributed by the source.
That's a run-on sentence.
It sure is. Okay. All right, we'll do a roll call vote in a minute. All right. Eric Bosler,
Yes.
David Bova,
Yes.
Jerry Diesel, yes. Josh Gettinger,
Yes.
Jim Kirschner, Martha Reesinger, Jamie Baloo.
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.